Welcome to this exploration of natural selection, one of the most fundamental concepts in biology. Natural selection is the driving force behind evolution, explaining how species change over time and how life on Earth has become so diverse. In this video, we'll discover how environmental pressures shape populations and determine which organisms survive and reproduce. This concept, often called survival of the fittest, reveals the elegant mechanism through which nature molds life to fit ever-changing conditions. Natural selection is the process by which organisms with advantageous traits are more likely to survive and reproduce, passing those beneficial traits to future generations. Think of it as nature's filtering system. In any population, some individuals have characteristics that make them better suited to their environment. These individuals tend to live longer, produce more offspring, and therefore pass on their helpful traits. Over many generations, these advantageous traits become more common in the population, while less beneficial traits gradually disappear. Charles Darwin made 4 crucial observations that led to his theory of natural selection. First, organisms produce more offspring than can possibly survive. A single tree might produce thousands of seeds, but only a few will grow into mature trees. Second, individuals and populations show variation in their traits. No two organisms are exactly alike. Third, competition for limited resources creates a struggle for existence. Food, water, shelter, and mates are all finite resources. Fourth, organisms with favorable traits have a better chance of surviving and reproducing, passing those traits to the next generation. These observations form the foundation of evolutionary theory. For natural selection to occur, 4 essential requirements must be met. First, there must be variation in traits within a population. Individuals need to differ from one another in meaningful ways. Second, these traits must be heritable, meaning they can be passed from parents to offspring through genes. Third, there must be differential survival. Some individuals must survive better than others based on their traits. Fourth, there must be differential reproduction. The survivors must produce different numbers of offspring based on their advantageous characteristics. When all 4 requirements are present, natural selection can shape populations over time. The peppered moth provides one of the most famous examples of natural selection in action. During the Industrial Revolution in England, factories released large amounts of soot that darkened tree bark. Before industrialization, light-colored moths were common because they blended in with the light-colored tree bark, making them invisible to predators. However, after pollution darkened the trees, dark-colored moths had the advantage. They were now camouflaged against the soot-covered bark, while light moths stood out and were easily eaten by birds. Within a few generations, the population shifted dramatically, and dark moths became the dominant form. This demonstrates how environmental changes can rapidly alter which traits are advantageous. Natural selection operates in 3 distinct patterns. Directional selection favors one extreme trait over others, shifting the population in one direction. For example, if larger body size helps survival, the average size in the population increases over time. Stabilizing selection favors intermediate traits and reduces variation. This happens when the middle ground is safest, like with human birth weight. Babies that are too small or too large face health risks, so average weight is favored. Disruptive selection favors both extremes over intermediate traits. This can occur when a population faces 2 different environmental pressures, leading to specialization at both ends of the trait spectrum. Environmental pressures are the forces that determine which traits are advantageous. Climate factors like temperature and rainfall patterns create selection pressures. Animals adapted to cold climates develop thick fur, while those in hot regions evolve ways to dissipate heat. Predation pressure shapes traits like speed, camouflage, and defensive structures. Resources such as food availability and territory influence which organisms can obtain enough nutrition to survive and reproduce. Disease, including parasites and pathogens, selects for individuals with stronger immune systems or resistance mechanisms. These pressures constantly shape populations, favoring traits that increase survival in specific environments. In evolutionary biology, fitness has a very specific meaning that differs from everyday use. Biological fitness measures an organism's ability to survive and pass genes to offspring. It is not about physical strength or athletic ability. An organism can be physically weak but have high fitness if it successfully produces many offspring that survive to reproduce themselves. Conversely, the strongest individual has zero fitness if it fails to reproduce. Fitness is always relative to the environment and measured by reproductive success. The key concept is that traits increasing an organism's ability to produce viable offspring will become more common over generations. Natural selection has produced countless remarkable adaptations throughout evolutionary history. Giraffe necks provide a classic example. Individuals with slightly longer necks could reach higher leaves on trees, giving them access to food others could not reach. Over millions of years, this advantage led to the extremely long necks we see today. Penguin wings evolved into flippers optimized for swimming rather than flying, as aquatic hunting provided better survival opportunities. Antibiotic resistance in bacteria demonstrates evolution happening on human timescales. Bacteria with genetic mutations that resist antibiotics survive treatment and multiply, creating resistant populations in just years or decades. These examples show natural selection operating across vastly different timescales. Let us review the essential concepts of natural selection. First, natural selection drives evolution through differential survival and reproduction. Organisms with advantageous traits leave more offspring, changing population characteristics over time. Second, environmental pressures determine which traits are advantageous. What helps survival in one environment might be harmful in another. Third, adaptations accumulate over many generations. Evolution is a gradual process requiring countless generations to produce significant changes. Finally, remember that populations evolve, not individuals. An individual organism cannot evolve during its lifetime. Only the genetic makeup of entire populations shifts over generations. Understanding natural selection gives us insight into the magnificent diversity of life on Earth.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.